Recording. Welcome back to another episode of the Branding Beardos, and today our guest this week is a very talented friend of mine, someone I've known for almost 7 years. I first knew Carrie when we both did freelance writing for Singapore's leading digital beauty magazine, Daily Vanity, and then we kind of became fast friends. So, Carrie has been a communications and marketing professional for over 10 years with experience in places like
Although
Crown
she looks
Plaza.
very young, huh?
Yeah, she looks very young, but 10 years already, So she has experience in places like Crown Plaza, Changi Airport. She's also a really prolific self-starter, co-founding sites like the Campbells and running her own site, carriesing.com. So John wants to tell a joke. John, please.
And also, right, she's definitely not a square because she works for Circles.Life.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Bad joke alert.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest, Circles.Life's head of the Daily Poll, Carrie Singh.
Carrie Singh. Woo.
Hi guys. Great to be here today.
Thanks for joining us.
Very excited to have you here.
Even though we have now 2 guests in a row who don't have beards, it's still an okay thing.
Yeah, it's still okay.
I think you would imagine there'll be more beards now that we're in work from home, right? But yeah.
No, it's the inability of people to grow a proper beard. Because there are some people who grow, magnificent ones like mine and Kenneth.
Okay, Carrie, I know you for a while, but I think I don't know you that far back. And so I went to take a look at your LinkedIn and look at your background, and I realized that you didn't take that traditional, go to university, get a job route, right? But you did do a diploma in mass comm, and then that's it. After that, you went straight in, got your hands dirty, worked from the bottom up, and now we're here. So can you tell me, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Why did you decide to do that?
I've always been quite I guess I have a pretty unconventional way of doing things because actually my parents don't really care that much what I do as long as I'm happy. I'm one of the lucky people, that my parents think, okay, you just do your own thing and then just earn money, okay, and go live your life, that kind of environment. So when I was when I was in primary school even, I remember I would have a lot of free time. I have super lot of free time, and then instead of studying, I'll do stupid things like do class magazines, create anonymous books where people can write opinions on each other, while early community management over there have to blank out the shitty comments and stuff like that. So thinking back, it's a lot of what I do now actually probably was something that I was interested in way long ago when I was a kid.
Yes.
And then of course in primary school I was not that bad. I was average student. I did pretty well if I studied. When I went into secondary school, I was not the best student. First 2 years really good, and then I got into streaming. I went into triple sciences, and then I was terrible. I never felt so stupid in my life. I literally felt like I was failing everything, and then I only passed languages. And at that point, I was very, very fortunate. So I had a good form teacher who saw that I was struggling. I was getting into a lot of trouble. He actually let me take a whole new, the school actually did. The school let me take a whole new set of subjects for O levels. And because of that, I realized that I will never ever make a choice whereby I will choose the most coveted path just because it is seen as something very respectable, triple science, very interesting, you could do it, So I said, no, I'm never going to do that again. I'll do everything different. So it was a very, I think, pivotal moment in my youth, because at that time I had to choose between going to JC or poly. And I actually got really lucky because of what happened with my changes, because of what happened with all of the changes in terms of subjects I was taking. I managed to score a really, really good L1, R5?
R5? Yeah, R5, yeah.
so long ago, cannot remember. I just know that it was not bad, okay? So way better than all of the teachers can expect, that kind of thing. So then I decided, okay, I will go into poly because I knew that would be where I will be able to do better and I will be able to do things that I enjoy. So I went to mass comm. Yeah. So that's the start of that decision all the way to always do the weirder thing or not so typical.
All the mass comm people all doing the weird things.
Or the off filter thing a little bit.
Off
bit
filter.
Weird.
Always coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Unexpected. I think the mass comm, we are like the Batman of
You are the Batman.
society. Come in unannounced. Heroes who come in unannounced.
And the thing is that at a very early stage in your life, you sort of started to pick up, value is sort of like what you make of it. Even though that like society attributes certain value to certain stream and all that, but also value is what you made of it.
Yeah, I think what was also important is that not only did I realize what value really meant for me as a person, but I also realized that, second chances are very important. Sometimes you just fail a lot. Like you just fail, and it doesn't mean that you suck or you're stupid or you can't do anything good with your life. I think there was always people who were thinking, oh, you failed in this thing, you're not going to amount to much. I had a lot of teachers who were like that, but I also had a lot of good teachers who said, no, you just retake all your subjects, you do something good for yourself. So that's also why, even now, like when I'm choosing a job or the next career move or choosing the next thing to work on, I try not to do things that are like too safe. Even though I'm not really a risk taker by nature, but it's just experience. Experience taught me to always try the crazier things.
What do you mean by safe? What's safe in our context?
I think safe is, the typical route, like, oh, by this age, try and get a boyfriend. By this age, try and get a job that pays you $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. If not, you have no value, if not, it doesn't mean you're good. I think there's a lot of this kind of underlying feelings. A lot of people will think that, oh, how come you're being paid so little for the work that you do? Does it mean, then, they sort of have a value system that's very different, whereby it's like, okay, maybe it means it's not really that important work that you do, which is not true. A lot of people
I think something interesting about it was that like safe also seems to be something where you don't need to stick your neck out at the job all the time, right? Because I think, John, you have this same experience where I think a lot of times, and Carrie and me too, a lot of times we have to stick our neck out and take the risk and,
wasn't just sticking the blade was kind of like
already
making marks on the neck, But I like what you said about the pay part, because I also myself, I started out my career in this industry, forced my foot through the door, my very large foot through the door, and took up a position that my take home at that time, right, in advertising, my take home, no kidding, $1,400.
But you learn fast lah. That was the thing lah.
But sticking the neck out part is important for any career.
I think so.
Just go only, just try. I think it makes sense that it takes a risk.
It's true that you have to take a risk, which brings me in your career, which brings me to this question. I noticed at a point, I think I started to know you a little bit later when you transition between you were in PR and then you leapt into working at Crown Plaza Changi Airport, and I think that was when I know you, and then you had this like curve, like there was like just exponential growth. I started to notice that, and I think you really assume both responsibility and risk. And I'm just very curious to know what helped you make that huge mental shift.
Okay. I really think, honestly, that I have been very fortunate. So I'm not being humble or anything. I really, really think that there were a lot of opportunities that I didn't actively search for, but it just came, right? What I did was, when those opportunities came, I just had to say to myself, okay, I should dare to take a risk and just do it, because it's already there. Like, why not? So for the first time, it was okay for PR after working about 1.5 years. And PR is a really tough job. Okay.
Yes.
I already tell PR people it's a tough job.
It's like crazy hard.
Yep. So after 1.5 years, I was really exhausted, and I decided to take a risk. I said, I'm going to quit for no reason, like just that I need to rest and get my health back in order, like mental health. And then just so happened that a colleague who was really close with in that firm, the agency, he was like, hey, you know, I have a client in IHG, and they are looking for somebody for Crown Plaza. Why don't you try? And you know, at that point of time, I wasn't very confident about myself. I was just like, this is my like second full-time job, you know, and first PR job. I'm not really like a marketing person. And I was wondering, can I do it? Then I was not really keen on it. But at the same time, it's like, oh, somebody really, really believed in me, like, and wanted me to try. So I said, okay, I'll send in my resume. So I sent in my first resume. And mind you, I have a poly degree. No, I don't have a degree. I only have a poly diploma. So honestly, sometimes it's really quite hard to get my foot through the door. So I get that experience. And I didn't get an answer back. But my friend kept saying, hey, they're still looking. And my client's still asking, why haven't I sent it in? So I said, no, I sent it already. So he said, why don't you send it again? And I think most people at this point, they'll be like, why should I say it again, right? Like,
Yeah.
They obviously don't want me, but I just thought, okay, fine, like, let me just send it in again. So I sent it
Maybe
again.
go spam folder or what, right?
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, just shoot your shot, right? Yeah.
So I sent it in, and yet again, nothing came back. And then the third time I sent, and then my friend kept saying, hey, you haven't sent. I was like, is it really I didn't send it in, or like something is wrong here? But I think by the time the fifth time, I put my foot down. I said, hey, like I wouldn't do this again. Like I'm gonna send it in the last time. And I told my colleague, I said, hey, can you just check in with the person? Like I have really sent it in like 5 times. I don't want to look like a crazy desperate person to the HR. Can you see if she can check in with them and see what happens? And just miraculously, that 5th time was a charm. I got a call back, and then I got the interview. Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to test your persistence.
Yeah, like this girl, so young, you know, in hotels, usually most of the marketing people, at least back in the day, they are at least like 30 over years old, you know, like
Yeah.
they're not like 24, 25 years old kids, you know, they're not that kind of and I was quite young. I think I was 24. Yeah, 24.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly speaking, like as a hiring manager now, looking back, it's like, yeah, that was a stretch, you know. Like,
would you have hired yourself?
I think
Wow, that's a
that's
good
a good question. Yeah, it's a really good question. Like, come to think of it, like, yeah, I had a lot of potential, but I guess, you know, at that stage, if looking back, if it was me deciding, I think I wouldn't have. But now, like knowing that, oh yeah, I could actually deliver a lot more. You know, it's just a learning process. I would say, yeah, you know, just hire me. I will do a good job, and I know that because I still have friends in the industry. They still think that I've done quite good with very little budget. You know, in hotels.
Yeah, I think you were like manager of the quarter for one of the years, right?
Yeah, I mean, they did that to employees, you know, to make them feel like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
To me, it wasn't so important to get those things. Like even, you know, I stayed there for 4 years, and honestly speaking, I stayed mostly because, you know, I got to experience a lot of interesting things. Like, for example, having to work with very old uncles and engineers who are not used to working with very young ladies and I was given an opportunity to like do what's it called? We have a green committee, you know, like most hotels have like a green committee, and they sent me to go on stage and talk about what is our green efforts and everything, when everywhere was old engineering uncles. Like that was the stereotype. And they were just so amazed that I could talk about the green things. And I was like, no, this is very normal, you know, like you just need to rehearse or something, you know. But to them, it was out of this world. So that was that moment towards the end of my career in that stage, where I was thinking, I think if got a good opportunity, I don't mind to explore other places.
Yeah, right,
you know?
right.
Like, yeah, I was getting a bit stagnant. So it was fun while it lasted, and it was a good opportunity to learn about PO, very old school processes, PO process lah, you know, finance that sort of thing, like, oh, how to talk to a slightly older manager, because all along I've been in PR and all that, everybody's about roughly the
Everybody's
same
young,
age.
everybody's your
Yeah.
age, yeah.
Maybe max 40 years old. Like, I wouldn't be like speaking to a GM like 50 plus years old, never done digital marketing before, you know, that kind of thing, or very little exposure to it. So it was interesting, but at the same time, I also knew like I didn't know enough to grow. So I did ask them, hey, can you bring in a senior person? I don't mind, I want to learn. And did, but at the same time, the growth was still a bit slow for me. And it just so happened that just nice, I got like a random phone call one day from this recruiter, and let's call him S. And S was just like, hey, I got this offer. I can't tell you who it is. I can't tell you where, but yeah, it's a tech company. You know, I think it is good for you. Would you like to interview for this role? I was like, huh? You know, like, can you imagine somebody calling you and it's so like dubious and then saying blah 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 blah, blah. Like, what is this about?
I've gotten this kind of call before.
Really?
Panic mode starts to set in. Just be like, what?
Like, you trying to kidnap me?
Yeah.
Or is this like a? Like
I can't tell you
mafia
about
thing?
them. I can't tell you where the place. In fact, we'll have to blindfold you to take you to the place. You also have to resign your job now.
Yeah. Also must sign NDA, okay?
Yeah.
I went for an interview where I had to sign NDA before, and that's crazy.
I think I get it. Like, sometimes really, you know, now that I know what the situation was like at the time, I get it, because it was completely new. There needs to be a lot of confidentiality. They didn't want to tip off competition back then, because okay, the interview was for Circles.Life, which now everybody knows, and they won't have to sneakily call you and then cannot tell you what company. But back then, before launch, it was so secretive, because
because they would have been murdered, like it would have been nipped in the butt, right? By the powers that be. So
I mean, we all know how it is. It's very competitive. It's a very competitive industry, right?
Yeah. But for you, when you got there and started hearing, because at the time, obviously, no one has heard about them, you know.
Yeah.
So for you, what was your reaction? What made you want to take that plunge?
Yeah.
Back then, I just took a leap of faith. I said, okay, I'm going to this dodgy ass. Sorry, cut it out.
No, we're keeping that in.
So I'm going to this. So I'm going to this dodgy like building in Henderson with like weird toilets. You know, like when you walk out, you're like in an industrial building. And then I was like thinking, and there was no sign. The sign was just a piece of paper at the time, like with the name of the holding company back then. And I was like, okay, I'm sure it's safe. So I walked in, and then basically I did an interview with the co-founder, Ramesh. And I think most people would know Ramesh from the news and all that. But in real life, he's a very personable person, and he's very driven by values and, you know, culture, and also wanting to build something greater that we will all be able to enjoy, like, you know, like something that is unbelievable. And so he was telling me about how this would change the entire telco industry. And that's something that, you know, when he spoke about it, I was so like, wow, I'm sold, man. It's like, I don't care about the job, you know, just give me the plan. Like, I don't really need the job. If you don't want to hire me, it's fine. But I want to be number one customer, I think. And that was the point that he said, okay, maybe this person is interesting. I don't know. So I was sold on the product, honestly. I don't think I would have accepted the job otherwise.
So he Steve Jobs you lah, basically. You're like, Steve Jobs you right?
But that's a very fond memory, yeah. It's a very fond memory. I remember it forever, yeah.
And then from like there, you actually rose through the ranks, right? You became, and now you are like actually head of the daily poll at Circles.Life.
Okay, I want to say, like, we really have no ranks. Like, I'm not being humble again. Like, really, literally, this is super flat structure. There is some leadership, but even me now, even that I'm saying head of daily poll, I'm really like everyone else. Everybody is like a super mini entrepreneur, like doing their own thing, trying to figure out the best way forward. It's a great environment to be in, but it's also a very challenging environment to be in. I have many days where I'm like, wow, I really don't know what to do. You know, it's like, this is new. I'm stuck. I need help. And, you know, recently I found out that, this is what growth feels like. It feels like every day is like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but
Yes, yes.
you know, I gotta
totally,
learn.
But I think that's
100%.
where you push the boundaries when you don't know. Because I
Yeah.
think when you know too much, then you'll be too safe.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think for you, it was the perfect kind of environment because you've already stuck your neck out so much already.
Yeah.
So might as well go with that.
Stuck my neck all the way.
So then you are saying, okay, we know you're head of daily poll, but for those that are unfamiliar with this daily poll thing, what is it? And actually, what are you trying to do here with this risk taking with daily poll?
Okay, so Daily Poll has a really interesting story. Right now, I'll just tell you what it is first. It's actually a polling platform on the Circles.Life app. So anybody with the Circles.Life app, you can download it and you can see what Daily Poll is. Every day we have 30 to 50 questions about a variety of different topics, current affairs, behaviors, what do you choose, this or that. And we have lots of actually fans. I think they will come in almost, every other week, every day, just playing tons and tons of questions. So we actually started Daily Poll sometime in World Cup period. When was World Cup? Honestly, like the years are all a blur now. But it was the last World Cup.
2018,
Yeah, I think
was it
so.
2018? Yeah, I think so.
2018 World Cup, we decided to say, hey, let's reward customers, get them engaged by letting them choose which is the winning teams for all of the different matches. So especially the popular ones. So people actually got really excited about it. Like tons of people flooded into the app, tried to play it. Mostly, of course, our users. It was such a success that after that they couldn't bear to like let it, just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, like I said, everybody's an entrepreneur. There was a very entrepreneurial spirited young intern who was converted into an exec, and he took it and he decided this is something cool. I'm gonna do one question a day. And for a while he was doing that until he left, and then I took over, and I was thinking this is a really good product. It is naturally sticky. People are playing this every day. There must be some greater value that I can give to both the users and to other businesses. And that's when the thought process went on, like, what could I do? And now we can actually collect consumer insights. We can figure out how users are behaving, what are they purchasing, and they're willing to share this because they trust us, right? That we're not going to sell them out. And that's not what the intention is anyway. Intention is to build a product whereby the user is able to tell us things that they enjoy and they do, so that you can serve them with better products for them. I don't want to hard sell them. I want to make it an entertaining and fun experience for them. So we've tried that as well, where we run campaigns with partners. Like right now we're running a Zenium campaign. We've run some with Tiger Hall, different apps and startups, and just want to expose their products in a fun way to users so that they know that these things exist. I think the greatest problem we have, especially in the startup side, is, we have that saying, if you build it, they will come. And then you realize that you build it and they don't come. I mean, this is also something I think about every day. Like, I built this thing, and I got to get people to come, So I mean, it resonates with me. And that's why I think businesses, I want to see how I can help businesses. How can I solve, do they have questions about consumers? How can I help them answer those through Daily Poll? And at the same time, if I can expose their product and it is something the users like, why not? It's the best of both worlds.
I think that's super, because it's like really using an innovative idea to not only gain valuable insight, but at the same time, it's entertaining for people, and you say it's the stickiness and definitely much better than some companies.
Just doing a survey
not only doing a survey, we're still just putting something stupid on Facebook, some stupid post that, feel good about yourself today, every day, like this kind of thing becomes very sickening after, and it's pointless for business to do that. And what I'm trying to drive at for those businesses looking, especially, their branding and the marketing. Yeah, you are only going to make things work if you don't do stupid things that other people have clearly failed at already before. And you really have to think in different ways, how the new ways to engage with someone.
Because I'm a Daily Poll user, so like I'm the kind of person that will go in every day, go into the app, just answer the question. Carrie, sometimes someone Carrie will receive a screenshot from me, right? And I will just go roll because it's so like the answer is so like, for example, right, like something like more than half of the audience think that Wikipedia is trustworthy. And I like had to screenshot it and send them like, are you kidding me? And yeah, so I mean it gets the reaction from the user. And I think the ability to sort of use that data to produce insight for like marketers like us who then
And
need to
data.
reach.
Data is so. Well, this one, I think me and Kenneth went full blast on this before, because you need data. Come on, guys out there, people, okay, your marketing team or non-existent ones, no data, nothing. Okay,
How to
you
make
cannot.
decision.
It means like, okay, your data means you know who to shoot, when to shoot, and when to blast
How
out
to
certain
shoot.
things.
Yeah.
Without data means I try lah. Every one I'm going to try to hit. But then the thing is, you don't have enough resources to do it. Correct? And then after that, when people ask you about your marketing budget and all that, don't have. Not so important. Not so important to reach out to people who's going to pay money to come to your brand. Are you kidding me? Is there any logic? Just listen to yourself, think. Don't want to spend money to get people who will eventually spend money and stay with you. You think about it.
I think, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, and what Carrie is doing is the complete opposite, right? It's really the data that you can zoom in on the right kind of person who then will want what you're selling. And they don't want what you're selling, you're not going to waste money to sell it.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I was in an environment whereby literally it's like every month is like zero budget, right? And you have to fight for the budget and all that, like from tooth and nail. So it's like, I get it. Like, I get why marketers are so maybe unable to or don't have exposure to understand how to use data. I was like that, right? Back when I was in the hotel, I literally didn't know where to start. And I think that's the important thing also. Like, what can I do to help other marketers understand the power of all these things? Because the more I'm learning about it, like previously, I wouldn't say I'm a expert in this. I'm still not an expert in this. I'm learning every day and I'm seeing so many opportunities. But you have to start first. You start somewhere and you actually figure out like, hey, actually I can ask this question. And then I'll realize like, oh, this is the insight I'm getting from this question. Let me use this and experiment. Stuff like that. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So like, talk about experimenting.
Don't
right?
need all your Philip Kotler book. Just listen to Carrie Sim.
So talk about your
Later,
experimentation, right? Let's talk a little bit about personal brand, all the experimentation you're doing in it. You really are one of those content creators that I think try a lot of new and different things. You go from strength to strength. And you work with quite a few, popular brands. You got Lancome, you got Philosophy, but you also got Coca-Cola. You've worked with these brands. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about your approach as a content creator and what you've learned in these years?
I feel like when I started, I honestly just wrote for fun. I mean, a lot of people will tell you the same thing, right? Nobody writes to, there are some people who write to earn money.
Nobody writes to be famous, but
yeah, I mean, nobody starts out thinking, I'm going to be famous with this article.
That's true.
But you kind of just grow into it, like over time. Especially, I feel like the most successful people I've seen who are content creators are very curious people. And I think curiosity is something that's really lacking. I don't know why in Singapore, like the curiosity to say, why is it that this thing is happening?
Why is it like this?
Yeah. So it's like when I started blogging, of course I blog about things I like, right? Like, okay, beauty, fashion, that kind of thing. Mostly beauty with my friend Richie when we were doing Campbell's. And then after that, we decided, okay, we have different schedules. So I did my own thing independently. And that was when I decided to just try maybe other things. And the thought process was just, what if, do I think I'm a fashionable person? No, I don't feel very fashionable. What if I want to be a fashionable person? What should I try? Then I started trying things and experimenting in that way, right? As I grew and then as I wrote more and I learned what I preferred to go into, like maybe from a wellness kind of perspective, I started experimenting with other content. Do I regret some of those content? Yes. There are things like skinny teas that I don't really think I will want to endorse anymore, you know. But it's a growing process. Like you will hit and you'll miss. It's the same as marketing. You gotta try everything, right? So by the time like I mean the last couple of years, I've been more or less pretty. Like I'm not so much of a, I don't know, like so into beauty anymore, into fashion anymore, because I'm just so focused on work, right? So I spend a lot of time then like just getting used to, you know, how I feel about my own body and body confidence. And this is when I realized I can't write about body confidence every day. I don't want to be like prancing around in my underwear like 24/7. That's not normal, you know. My husband also said before, it's like, you girls can prance around in underwear, and then it's like, oh, body positivity. But then if it's, you know, guys, I think, you know, cannot.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this. Right? We were just talking about this the other day, and how personal branding is not running naked through the woods and then discovering yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think personal branding is more like, what can you bring value? How can you bring value to other people? Even in the content, right? Like, even no matter how different the content I write, I always have a point of view like, okay, how can I do this so that people understand me better, faster, or whatever? Like,
but how do you want people to see you? Because, you know, the personal brand, especially for you, who's carefully built up something, you know, whether purposefully or accidentally kind of thing. But
put a lot of effort into it.
What is brand Carrie Sim?
I'm very conscious about keeping it real. I think, you know, this is like lip service. A lot of people will be like, okay, I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah,
but,
keep it real, babe.
You know, but the reality is that keeping it real means that you have to spend a lot of time talking and thinking about things. It's not just like when you're posting it, you keep it real. Like, oh, right now I'm eating my food, or like, oh, I'm stuck at home now, I hate it. Like, keeping it real also means that do you have time to think about how your reflections on this particular issue, as opposed to just writing whatever comes to my first step. Like, I feel that's like what keeping it real is for me, and that's why I try to do everything that I do with that in mind. So even on LinkedIn, like recently I've been a little bit more active there, you know, especially as I start building a new brand like Daily Pole. I don't really think of it like, oh, I can only do this kind of post. But whatever I do, whether I'm learning or whether I find something interesting, you know, I behave how as I would want to behave with friends or with colleagues, right? I want to be helpful, supportive, and that's what I feel is being authentic and real. Like, you don't really need to think so much like, oh, I need to have 5 posts that are helping like 5 people. I mean, this is very, you know, constructed.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. I mean, if you are helpful, then you are helpful.
You know, this authentic thing, this is something that really, it's like sand in my underwear, you know, honestly. And so many people, right? Again, not to slag off my fellow professionals, I really don't intend to, you know, but everyone's talking about be real, be authentic, you know,
be yourself.
Be yourself. But it's like when you read the kind of content there is, it's almost like, you know, the kind of your hair stands like, oh, I'm bloody cringing, you know. For me, the be real is, hey, come on, be real, right? Be you, right? It's kind of like what you are doing. But for people who are really trying to discover their personal brand, right? How would you then interpret? Because there are these people who are looking to build will always be looking at this. Be real, be yourself. You know, that kind of mode. But
so what does that really mean?
How will you slap them in the face and get them back on track? What is the real thing that they should be looking at?
How will you get them to realize what being real really means?
I guess if you're saying like give people advice, I would suppose that they are struggling with it, you know, like even after doing the be real thing, it's not working. And if it's not working, then you should change the way you look at it, right? This is simple advice. It's just, if this isn't working, then try something else.
Yeah.
Like, if you know that being so constructed, so curated doesn't work for you, why not take a risk? It's not working already. You know?
And that's right, no, because being real, right, also means accepting a reality check. It's
and being vulnerable.
You have to.
Yeah. Because you're taking the risk. Like, and I mean, it's very clear, Carrie, that even though you say you are not a risk taker, you keep taking risks.
Yeah, you are the skydiver who went out of the plane with the little straw, the little umbrella that you put
the
on the
umbrella.
pina colada.
And the cool part is that you're saying take a risk, right? Be yourself, be vulnerable. Do
Being
you
real
think that,
is a risk.
yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
do you think that is almost always the case with personal brands? That if you really want to be real, you have to sort of open up a little bit of the belly and show that vulnerability.
I think there's also a difference between just, waxing lyrical about everything. There's also another kind, like complete opposite, whereby you're just like, wow, the first thing comes to mind, just like boom, and then that's it. I mean, that's fine if that's something that you are conscious of and that's what you want to portray. I think that's totally fine. But at the same time, it's like if you want to be real, you have to understand sometimes you're going to take a risk, right? When you're being real, you might want to reflect first. It's okay to share, but can you reflect first and think, is this what I really want to say? What is my objective of saying this? Who am I serving? Am I serving myself or someone else?
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
do you want to get your ass kicked or not?
But honestly, even when you're being real, sometimes, things happen. Bad things happen, right? To people with the best intentions. And maybe at that stage, you just got to deal with it and not take it so personally. It's going to hurt for a while. But then just, okay, it was a bad call. Just accept it, acknowledge it, explain why. I mean, don't give yourself excuses. Just be like, that's what happened. And just move on. People forget after a while and they'll admire you for doing the right thing,
And you say that it's explaining yourself and it's not so much of a, you got to accept me, it's my brand, either you take me or leave it. What's your take on this kind of approach to personal branding and defending yourself?
Yeah,
I think
that's a good one.
It's okay. So there's this thing that I feel like this phrase that helps me figure things out, right? Does it work for you or not? If it works for you and it gives you the KPIs that you want, is delivering the value that you want, then go for it. Like, who's to say that's wrong? That's be real. But if let's say you're doing this as part of like a strategy or a tactic, I don't know, and then it's not working, and you still insist on doing it and get upset that it's not working, I think that's a problem. Like there's something not connecting with what your real personal brand is and what you're portraying to people. So it goes the same even for non like just very hot-headed kind of content, like even just talking about inspirational content. We've all seen the kind of airy fairy inspirational content, like life's going to be great or whatever, and then when you look at the person, it's like, I cannot relate to this message.
It's like me reading that. No, life is going to be great.
Not at all.
Fail.
I guess like if it works, if you experiment and it works, and then this is something that you really want, like this is the direction you want to go, then okay, just do. But if it's not and it's not working, then don't get so upset about it. Just be yourself. Just move on to another aspect of yourself. You're a multifaceted person.
I really
That is so beautiful to hear.
Yeah, I really love it. That's really amazing. That's a good one. That one confirmed quick cut. For sure.
The multifaceted you.
Yeah,
Wow.
like being a multifaceted.
Can I pinch that and use it as part of my personal branding programs, pretty please?
Yes, go ahead. I cannot trademark that word. It's just a word, man.
Big John's new personal branding program, the multifaceted you. I trademark it. Anyone out there is using it, I will sue you.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people realize that you're actually not like, okay, so something that I've learned also from trying so many things is that sometimes you feel a little bit like worried about who you're becoming because you feel like you're not yourself, right? Like, identity crisis, like 1 minute I'm this person, 1 minute I'm that person. But
like, am I bullshitting people, or is this really,
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit harder, especially if you really do intend to be as real as you can be, like as authentic as you can be, because then you start reflecting on these things and you start to like get a bit confused, I feel.
Yes.
But I feel that I don't think we give ourselves enough space to accept that we are not always going to be one person. Like you don't expect somebody to be really bothered, to be brainless or bimbotic all the time. Like, yeah, I like to enjoy these things, but I can also be smart and do other things, like maybe I like gaming, or I like marketing, I like experimenting. So I feel like in general, maybe it's because of how stereotypes, how we subscribe to certain stereotypes, a lot of people. So we don't really think so much like, oh, myself, like if I'm looking at something, I'm like, oh, judging them and all that. I have to think about myself that I'm not always like that kind of person, or this kind of person. I'm also somebody else. 1 minute I like to exercise, next minute I'm a sloth. Does it mean that I'm crazy? It's not also. It's just being human, right?
Right.
It's a dichotomy of your humanity, basically.
Yeah. You get to choose any time who you want to be, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's I think some sort of clarity as well, because why the need to be so real and so authentic with yourself in a non-BS bullshit way is because, and me and Kenneth again, we were just talking about the same, whatever you were just mentioning, and you really hit it on point, is that it's going to be so tough, right, to, if you're not true and to yourself and you start building this other persona of yourself that you cannot maintain, right, then everything starts to crumble very quickly, because you will go into that mode of, oh, I must do this because I have this thing to maintain, but it's not really me, but I'm doing it because I have to, and then there will be the disconnect already with your brand. It's gone after that. Finish.
I think it also relates to how we approach marketing and branding in general. Actually, it's all the same things, right? Sometimes you try and force a kind of brand persona, and it just doesn't fly. You don't have to worry like, oh, I'm going off brand or whatever. Just try and experiment. Sometimes you think you're a Deadpool, but you turn out to be, something else. I don't know.
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Exactly. Yes.
So don't force it.
You're absolutely right. Don't force it. Don't make it something. Don't do something that you're not.
Don't try too hard.
Yeah.
Because everyone will know it now. And I think in today's market where people are so, the reality, the transparency is so appreciated. If you try too hard, it's not telling you to not put in effort, but don't overdo it, because everyone will know it. And
when you talk about branding and like brand tone, right? This is something that I've learned, especially since we've sort of like evolved the brand tone for Circles.Life over time. So I'm not working on brand, but I've seen it go through the phases, and I've seen also competitors who have tried to take on a tone that obviously is not. It's not that natural to them. You get what I mean? You can get agency in. You can bring all these external parties in. You can get an edgy young person to try and come in and do your social marketing. But end of the day, is this your brand? Like your brand is actually driven by your values, your focuses, how you treat your customers, right? It's the whole thing. And if you decide just to say, oh, I'm going to just put this tone on top so that it will look like, oh, I'm so cool or whatever.
It all the time.
I never say this.
I was about to say.
The image of is a guy, very stuffy suits,
corporate corporate guy.
Yeah, very, very corporate.
Yeah.
So whenever, for me, this is a very good case in point of trying too hard. Yeah, for me, it's like the totally uncool person trying to be hip, in a hip hop party. In a hip hop party, trying to do a ballroom dance kind of thing, or at a
so to speak, when you scroll, right, John, you see like why this ad trying to sound like Circles?
Yeah. Again, not because of Carrie we are saying this, but for me when I look at it, that's why I don't. But they are trying. Let's give them a round of applause.
Yeah, give them credit
effort,
for trying.
Effort, but it's really because of how the brand is projected and how people are handled around, and even hearing some from ex-staff and all that, right? You know that whatever they're trying to do is only because they think that they have to do it, because the market is like that now, so we must keep up with the times. It's not really them,
I guess they don't realize that. Actually, it's not just there. It's a lot of companies. They just think that marketing is just slapping on this. How it looks on the outside, but it's really everything. It's about the customer experience also, and these actually translate over time. Like people actually feel it, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to have AG person talking on customer service. That's not the point.
Exactly.
The point is,
Yes.
as this persona, you're appealing to a certain persona. They expect a certain level of service, or they expect a certain type of service.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, they appreciate certain kind of humor, certain kind of content. And by just doing all these things, you don't even have to always be very edgy, very witty, very funny,
Yeah.
or whatever. You just got to be, just got to focus on what you really intend to do with the brand.
There's all this
Oh.
rebuilding from the core, because putting lipstick and a wig on a pig is still a pig.
So like I'm very glad I have you on the show, because like really the insights are amazing.
I'm glad
Last
you're
question.
doing that.
Last question. Okay.
Okay.
You really have a thread of let's jump and see what happens, right, in your story. For people who are afraid to take that leap, if you can only say one thing to them, metaphorically, don't really jump off. One
Yes.
thing you have to tell them to get them to sort of take that risk. What would that be?
Like one word or what? Like
One.
I got one way enough.
One word not enough. One word I tell you, just jump.
just one.
One thing.
One saying.
One saying.
Wow, very hard eh. I mean, I'll just say whatever I think I will say to the person. So I'm a bit lost. So, but I will say, like, being brave isn't just doing things. Like, it's not like you're brave means, oh, I'm courageous, I'm just going to do it now,
Okay.
Courage is like you are shivering and you don't really know whether this is the right thing to do, but you just say, okay, I will still do it because I believe that this is something I need or I want to do, and then you just take that first step. It's like when you stand at the top of, like, I'm taking a cliff diving example again, anecdote from my real life, whereby I'm standing on a cliff and I'm jumping off. So when you're standing there, nobody is courageous when you're standing on a cliff, man. Like, you will surely be scared unless, I don't know, you have balls of steel or what. Like, I mean, there are some people like that. But majority of people don't have balls of steel. They're not born that way, especially as Singaporeans. We don't have. A lot of us don't have. That's why we have
balls also.
we are brought up to feel like, okay, we got to be safe, we got to risk, mitigate risks, number one thing, So when you're standing there, it's natural that you are shaking and you are scared. But that doesn't mean that you cannot just jump off. It doesn't mean it's impossible for you to jump off just because you're scared. It's just that moment when you decide, like that moment when you think, okay, just do it, like not to quote Nike or anything, but like, you just have to connect.
Let's go.
I wanted to do this. I really think that it's scary, but I will try. And then you just like take that one step, and then it's too late, and you're going down.
Hey, go already.
But that's the thing. Once it's too late, you'll figure it out, man. I mean, I'm not talking about like other things where it's irreversible, but some things, if you have thought it through and you're still at that verge, and yes, this works, right? Yeah.
Nice.
That's amazing. Carrie, thank you for coming on the Branding Beardos.
Grazie mille. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And if you really like Carrie's chat, you want to share what Carrie has said, remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share it on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you very much.
Bye.